go a little wider. Brings ball back for Marshall. The footwork. Benji Marshall. Now the speed. The footwork again. Away from Peachy. Passes without looking. Away for Richards. Back to Fitzhenry. That is as good as you will see.
Welcome, ladies and gents, back once again with another episode of the SuperCoach Tragics podcast. I'm your host, Dan, coach of the resurgent Badonkadonk, fresh off a good week. With me tonight, we have Glen. Glen, mate, how was your week?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I mean, I had Walker. I brought Walker in this week, so that was a pretty sad thing, but I still went up 1,200 places somehow. So, yeah, I managed to captain Hines. I think that kind of saved my week.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. Well, I think you have a bit of trouble with your 5'8" at the moment, aren't you?
Hey,
last week, this week?
It's in and out and out and in. It's just stick on a couple and settle, son. Just what am I doing?
I might start calling you Newcastle Knights, mate. You need to get your 5'8", right?
Yeah, that's right.
And returning with us again tonight, we have Brod. Brod, mate, how was your week?
Yeah, it's a pretty good week, mate, but obviously you still got a bit to go to get up in the top, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I think it's all only way up for me and you at the moment. We're pretty low on the ranks, I think. You're just ahead of me. So, well, with me, I had a much better week. I had 11.99, Captain Hines. So, stuck strong with that plan. I think there was a few errors I could have made during the week, but luckily I was sticking true to my plan to try and win my head-to-heads, because my plan was to go Fafita to Firma to free up some cash, and I decided against it because my head-to-head had him, and then I was going to go Munster to Cody Walker, but my head-to-head captain Munster, and I thought I can't miss out if he goes big, so I kept Munster. So I ended up doing pretty well for myself with 11.99. So I ended up going up 20,000 ranks, which is quite a lot, but it's still just scraped into the top 50K. So only ways up for me. So moving on, as usual, we'll start with the news. Glenn, anything out there we need to know?
Yeah, there's a few things, mate. I just say maybe I should look at my head-to-head. You know, I wouldn't have a clue week to week who I play in head-to-heads. Like, literally wouldn't have an idea. People always say to me, I played you in head-to-head this week. You got lucky. And I'm like, I didn't even know I was playing you, mate.
Yeah, just quietly. I had your head-to-head this week, man. I smashed you. So,
oh, there you go.
In the admin.
There you go. All right, so the news this week, guys. So Latrell Mitchell's out for 8 weeks, which brings in Blake Tafe to the fullback position. Wacker Blake is also out indefinitely with a knee injury, which moves Penasini to the left wing. Milford had all his charges have been dropped, and the NRL wants to do their own investigation, but there's some discussions around him coming back. Haas has only got 1 week, so for Haas owners, just throw him on the pine for a week. Graham back 7 or 8, so I don't even know what that is. Monassi is out with an elbow indefinitely, and Young also from the Knights out with a knee injury indefinitely. The Hammer returns round 7, knee. James Noor-Brown, HIA, so he returns. He's got one. He's not in this week, so he's out for the week. Tico out with a calf. Verrills returns for the Roosters. Montoya has got a 4-week suspension for that little gaff he had the other day. And the Tigers have dropped Little and Gildart. Toa gets a wing spot, Garner into centre, and Brooks to 6. Hastings returns to the 7 role. Instead of 6, he's coming in as the halfback. Junior Polo, insanely, got 10 minutes sinned in for what I didn't think was anything. But anyway, regardless, he's also been suspended. And there's some late news. I don't know if this is true, guys, but I'll give it to you anyway. Randall and Crossland, possible COVID news. I actually heard from someone that not Crossland, but definitely Randall. But until I've had that confirmed, I'll put it on our page if that be true. And the last one is that Ivan Cleary and Nathan Cleary re-signed for 5 years with the Panthers, and claim there's going to be a dynasty, the Panther boys. So we'll see how that rocks out. It's a good signing. And that's the news.
Well, if Randall's out, I'm screwed. See you next week. Bench is looking thin.
Is it? Oh, well, I'll have a look at your side later, Brody, and we'll see what you can work out. You said you got Snyder and Ilias, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm playing both of them, mate.
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 plays there. Your fullback and then, because of Haas, you've probably got a bit of struggles around your front row.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll talk about that later.
Well, with the obviously the COVID news there, that's only fresh, very early, non-confirmed stuff. So Obviously, keep an eye on our page there. We'll as soon as we know, we'll put it up there. Glenn will throw it up there for us. So just something to keep an eye out for, guys. I think I wasn't planning on playing Randall this week anyway, but just in case, all good. All right, guys. So we're going to go a little bit different tonight. We're going to talk about trade targets a different way. I think it's a bit repetitive going over the positions every single week. So we're going to start off with I'm going to talk about the most traded in players this week, and we're going to just pretty much have a bit of a conversation about whether we agree with those trades or not. So obviously on the traded in list here, number one, 8,000 trades in this week. Cooler at 175K with a -7 break even. I can see the merit in holding off a week because he has that 4 in his rolling average. But I also know that a lot of people are trying to free up cash to get some guns in. So I'm personally in the latter. I'm actually getting him in this week, and I'll be freeing up some cash to get in some much better guns, especially with the news that Haas is out. I need I need to get I had a very weak front row with only Haas was my only gun. So this way now I can actually have 2 guns in the front row with Haas out and keep him. Your thoughts, Glenn?
Koala from Manly you're talking about, mate, the centre wing?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, well, it's his 3rd game from my understanding, and he's got a negative break even. I think it's only low 4.
Yeah, it's -7 his break even.
Right.
So
I mean, if you want to get him, probably the week to jump on. I mean, we're pretty short on centre wings at that price, and centre wings make money pretty quickly. So yeah, I would say he's a buy. Jump on.
Your thoughts, Brod?
Yeah, I need to, mate. Especially that 3 of my centre wings aren't playing at the moment, and I lost Gildart this week, so to strengthen up the areas that I was selling, I had to go Koala. So
yeah, well, I made my thoughts pretty clear. I need to get him in to build up some cash there. So next on the list with 7,000 trades in this week is Taff from the Rabbitohs. So I can see why people are doing this. Obviously, in a high upside team with a great draw and job security for essentially 8 weeks, which is pretty solid. But I personally am going to hold off because I can't find the person that I want to trade from. I've got Schneider there, who would be the logical sense, but he's also making cash. And we also have another week to, because he only got 39 in that first game he played off the bench. So we definitely got another week there to wait. Glenn?
Well, what I'm seeing is people are swapping Tedesco to TAFE or Snyder to TAFE. I'm just going to say straight out, that's stupid. Just don't do that. I mean, both. I mean, Snyder plays the buy round. Snyder's playing. He's doing very well, just in base alone. And Tedesco is a proven gun, and he will come good. And he's playing the Warriors who do leak. So, I mean, I think that's crazy. But if you was to own someone like a Walker, a Dearden, Latrell Mitchell, or one of those kind of type like players, and you're looking to, go down, go up, there's a perfect opportunity there for you to trade down to TAFE and use that money to invest somewhere else in your field where you might be weak, i.e. centre wing. Some people are struggling in that area with so many being out at different, we've lost a few.
Yeah, that's true. Rod?
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. I got a high in Snyder, and then the big 2 fullbacks, so I can't justify selling him. And if I did buy him this week, it'd be for a trade boost, and I don't see the logical choice in that. So, I'll see another week. We all know how injuries are, so if one of them goes down, then I'll pick him up next week. But if not, I'll probably miss out on him unless he, has a cracking game and his break-even's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just want a full disclosure here, by the way. Like I saw a post on Twitter the other day against Tim. Tim actually posted he was making a trade, then changed it, Tim, and changed it last minute. Look, sometimes things change. And what happened last week was Koala was named and then was ruled out. So, I mean, and I'm actually going to tape this week, but my setup's a little different. So I have Tedesco, I have Pappenhausen, I have Hines, I have Ilias, but I also have Brown and Walker. And I'm not happy with Walker, so I'm actually going to sell Walker this week to TAFE.
Yeah, I'm looking at probably getting TAFE in. I think we had the luxury of waiting a week, so that way I can see what's not. Because I won't be going Teddy. It's just insane to me. I understand why people are doing it, but I think they need to be a bit more patient. It's more of a rage trade, that one, with that small score. He's had that one bad score, really. Like, he's been getting 64s and 84s. I think with his draw coming up, he's going to start, teeing off again. So I'll probably be going Schneider to him potentially next week. But it all depends on what happens. If Schneider tears it up and gets a 60 or an 80 or something like that, his break even is going to stay really low. And like we mentioned before the podcast started, that he's a buy player as well, and we're going to trade him to Taff, who isn't playing that first buy. So, yeah, and I know it's only early days, but we still need to start planning for that. For example, I've got 10 players that are playing the buy round right now in my team. So I know I'm pretty safe to go Schneider to him, because having 10 at this stage, I'm feeling safe. I think going that 14 is the target I'll be going for more than likely. But yeah.
If I had Snyder there too, I'd be suggesting that you take him up to as high as you can get him, and then get yourself to another, gun like a Munster or a Cleary or whatever it is you're trying to get as your secondary.
Yeah, well, you can look at, like, for example, if I see, Taff this week gets a 40 or a 50, then Schneider gets a 50. If I can go to Taff, but then I'm going to get the same result with the break even as without using the trade by staying with Schneider. Yep. So this is why I like the luxury of actually staying strong with what I've got. Next on the list, 5K people traded him in, break even of 9. That's Brodie Jones from the Newcastle Knights, priced at 275. What are your thoughts on that, Glenn?
I don't like that one as much. I don't dislike. So if you're trading down someone like a Nanai or Elise Katoa, especially Elise Katoa, who's about to lose money, and again you're looking for money to go elsewhere, then Brodie Jones is a buy. Put him on your bench, not a play in your 17. And you can use that money to up, and he will make you money. But in my opinion, I don't like it. The job security there is not great. I mean, there's Barnett's out to 10, but there are players to come back into that side. Barnett, Fitzy, there's a few.
Yeah, no, my thoughts on that are, like you said, we've got players coming back. The other thing as well is he's not going to be that guy that makes cash fast. He's actually a slow burn. And as we discussed in our preseason podcast, that we don't really want slow burners in that second row position. And if he is a slow burner that had long job security, for example, you might be able to justify it. But if he was only there for, say, 4 more weeks, for example, you're not going to get much money out of him. It's a wasted trade, I believe. In saying that, I actually like the look of him a lot better in game 2 than he did in game 1. He was more involved. He gets to that work, and I was actually a lot happy with how he played. But I'm happy to miss this one, actually. The only reason I would do this trade would be, for myself personally, is if Cooler gets ruled out, and I need to get another centre wing to play, because I've got 3 NPR centre wings at the moment. And I need to trade Cooler in to get that cash to get to my gun front rower. Brod, your thoughts on Brodie Jones, mate?
Who?
Brodie Jones.
No, who, bud? No, there's no way I'm touching him, mate.
Yeah.
He's look, the only thing he's got going for him is that every single Knights player is about to fall down with an injury. I see Brodie Jones playing fullback in 4 weeks. That's how bad they're going. So
he might be the hooker this week, mate.
Well, you're gonna have to sell Randall. So yeah, no, I don't think he's a go, especially at this start of the season. If he started the season in that position, then yeah. But we're looking for a bit more money makers / points at this stage. So
yeah.
But hopefully that helps us get up a couple more thousand positions with the people that bought him. So
that's it. Well, one player I know that you're keen on, Broad, and he's the next most traded in with 4,000 trade-ins, and that's Joey Manu, 652,000. Is it a bit too late? Have you missed the boat on that, Broad?
Look, I'd love to say yes, but we know that he can keep pumping out those scores of 80. I'm just upset that I didn't buy him, or Kelly. That's the one that got away from me this year. He's actually getting the points that he deserves. That's not going to Teddy this year.
Yeah,
thanks, SuperCoach.
I had a theory with Manu is in those harder matchups. I know last week was against the Broncos, and it's not really considered a harder matchup, but it was a very close game, and it ended up being down to the wire. I believe in those harder games, he's actually a better player than in the easy games.
Yeah.
He actually steps up, and he puts so much effort in, and he puts it all on himself to do all those tackle busts and tries to score tries himself. So I believe that he's actually a better play in those tougher matchups. And with their run being a bit easier, I can see those points dropping off. That's just my little bold prediction, I guess, right there. Glenn, your thoughts on Manu?
What I have noticed this year is the centres are scoring better than the wingers did last year. So that's the upside on Manu. The problem with Manu, and you pointed it out already, is the price. There are players that you can buy like May, Targo, and that are doing the job a lot cheaper. And if you look a little harder, you'll find there's players like Campbell Graham and a whole stack of others who have got much better draws. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the Roosters actually have a really nice draw, and the upside to him is he plays in the bye. And not only will he play in the bye round, he likely plays fullback for the Roosters in the bye round. And they do play the first bye. So there's a couple of upsides too. If you own him, don't sell him. I personally think, though, there's others you can buy and use that other money left over to upgrade elsewhere.
Yep, totally agree.
So yeah, like you said, Glenn, he plays that bye round. He's got a break even of -14. But then you go to your point, Dan, he's playing better against the hard teams. And the next three are Warriors, Dragons, and Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So if he does do what he's been doing, he could drop a fair bit of money and still, we could be picking him up for 500 for that buy round. But you know what? Can someone tell him to teach Teddy what he's doing? Teach him to get involved because he's doing everything right.
That's the thing. I think he's the one getting involved and trying to take it upon himself to win the game in those tight games. And Teddy's doing the same thing, but it's just not working as well. Teddy's trying to make the game his own as well, but he's just Manu just seems to be working for him. It's not working for Teddy. So
one of the beauties of the Roosters usually when they're in form is they usually put on a lot of points and they play the sweep on the left and the right really well. And Tedesco's in every set play that they do. They do a lot of set plays, and even if he's not running the line to receive, he's running the decoy. So Manu plays that tough up through the middle, and the Roosters have found themselves in some tough up the middle games, which has really forced him to play almost like a forward. He doesn't mind a tough run. So, in the tough games, you're right, he does shine. And in the easier games where they've got the sweep play, they generally cut Manu out.
Like I loved last week's game. Even though, as a Broncos fan, we lost in the last 5 minutes, but seeing Stags and Manu both just dominate their opposite centre wing.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen someone being dominated like Stags dominated Momo for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to call someone their bitch, he got it. Wow.
That's it. We'll move on to the fifth most traded in player this week. And this one I can agree with as well, but it's the last week you can get him, and that's Mitch Moses. Break even of -25. You're paying to the roof for him at 655K, and you've got 4,000 people trading this week. The only way I can see this being the reason why I like this trade is because a lot of the guys, everyone really wants to get Cleary in their team. And this guy is on the way up. Cleary's on the way down. If they meet in the middle there, it's almost a clean swap when it happens. So I like this trade a lot. Your thoughts, Glenn?
Okay, so I'll give you the pros and the cons. So the cons for me are this. One is you're paying overs for him. Two is you are buying him for the good draw. So you really wanted to start him or pick him up round 1, 2, or 3. We're now at round 6. Round 10, their draw really starts to become tough. And we all know that Moses goes MIA in those sort of games. He will make you money. And as the pros, he's playing in a side that's just playing really well. He's playing really well. And the other upside to him, as you just pointed out, is that he'll make you money and get you the Cleary quicker. So, you have to weigh up to what you're trying to do. If you're just buying him for the points, I don't think that's the answer. If you're buying him to get to another player, I think it's not a bad play.
Your thoughts, Brod, on Moses?
Yeah. Again, I can't justify to bring him in my team anywhere. I'm not getting rid of Hines. I can't afford him if I go in from Snyder. So, but if you're good enough to start with him, then good luck. But like what we see a lot of people do, a lot of people are just chasing those points with these people on this list this week. And you probably missed the boat by 1 or 2. So I'll probably stay away and look somewhere else.
Yeah, I think the only reason you can justify this is if you're not trading out Hines to get him. I still don't believe Teddy is the right trade to get him. And only reason I could say this working is if you had like a Dearden who's almost peaked now, someone like him where you can get him in that way. And That way you can get that link to Cleary later on. So I wouldn't get comfortable having him in there as well. Ride those highs out and then jump onto Cleary when he drops. But even then, that might not tom out very well, because if he peaks at a certain round, which would be about round 10, you've got 3 more rounds and then Origin's on.
Well,
So
I could bring him in this round myself. So one of the things that I did look at was that I could go Billy Smith to Koala, and I had the money to turn Walker to Moses and bring Ilias down. And I didn't hate it. I also could have bought in Munster as well, but I really, there's so many options for me this week, and I think Moses, there is reasons to do it to get to Cleary. So it isn't something I've ruled out. So I just want to say that in case I do it and people say you didn't say, that's what you're doing. But it's unlikely I will.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to the top 5 most traded out players. Number 1, I agree with, guys. Nanai. I think he's peaked. Break even at 79. He's made a bit of cash there for us. Now priced at 4.57. And they got 5,000 people trading him out this week. Your thoughts on that one, Glenn?
Yeah, that's a good move. Nanai's the one that at the beginning of this season, I was starting with 1 350k player, and it was Nanai, Lukey, or Katoa, and I got it wrong. And Nanai, he did his job, but he's got terrible base. You don't want to play him in your 17 because you will get ugly scores from him. He will have them big games, but I think he's made the money. This is the perfect time to move him on.
Yeah, Rod?
Yeah, same as Glenn. I went Katoa as well. Katoa was good the first week. Unfortunately, by us, he got his injuries, and like me and Glenny always do, we nail those injuries.
Yeah.
So when we talked about it, one of us should have probably jumped off, knowing the other one was going to have bad luck. So, but again, like you said, he's topped out. Sell him on. But don't buy Roddy Jones from him. Go someone better.
Yeah, go up.
Yeah. Well, I'm trading out Nanai this week. I started with him. I did get there was like a 1 in 3 chance you got the right 350 player, and I got him. So I was lucky to have him in starting with for the year, and I rode those highs, and now I'm getting a few lows, so it's time to offload him. The next one, that's it.
Like you got one of them, eh?
Yeah, that's it. I picked a few right players, yet they just didn't fire at the right time, and I didn't play them, or something happened that was just, it's all right. We're on the way up. We're moving forward. All right. Next one, I believe, is a bit of a rage trade, and I totally don't agree with this trade whatsoever. That's Teddy. Break even 102. You got 5,000 coaches trading him out this week. Glenn, I'm pretty sure we made ourselves clear on this one. Share your thoughts.
I've been listening to other pods today, and one of them just kept going on and on and on about selling Tedesco and buying Cleary. And I was like, that just makes no sense to me. Cleary he's going to lose a big chunk of cash. Even if he said it to me next after this round, that would make more sense, but not this round. Because I mean, even Teddy's got a high break even, but he's a proven gun. Just don't do it. I mean, I can't wait till next week. I hope I'm right. I see him as a 120 score this week, and I'm even considering putting the C on him.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Teddy, bro? I know you own him too.
He's not a sell. Just silly. The only way I'll probably sell Teddy is when Turbo comes back and on a run, or if he gets injured. It's probably the only way that I'm going to sell Teddy now, especially with Latrell out for so long. I don't see it, but you know what? If everyone wants to do it, I'm more than happy because I'll take the points this week. And like Glenn, he's with Haas out, with the Sharks and Melbourne, having so many captain options that are now playing each other. He is a big choice for a captain this week. So,
yeah. How often have we seen it though when everyone jumps off Teddy after one bad week? Because every year he has that at least one bad week where he gets that low score. How often have we seen it when he's come back and smashed it at 150?
Yeah.
And we all saw what Drinkwater did to the Warriors last week. He got like 98 points, I think he got. He got 1 try and try assist in that. I think Teddy's going to tear him apart. And that's just my theory there. So I've haven't locked him in, but I've definitely got my eye set on him as my captain this week. So yeah, it's a bit weird. I think I reckon this 5,000 coaches might wake up to themselves. I think there might be just a bit of a rage trading there. They just have the the whole week from Tuesday onwards to not see him in their team and remember what happened last week. Maybe they're just doing that they'll reverse that trade before lockout. Next one on the list, guys, with 4,000 people trading him out. I don't see anything wrong with this at all. I think Bullimore is getting traded out. So I think he's, he was the trap that we all thought he was. I definitely made myself clear. I thought he was a trap, but I think everyone knew he was a trap, but they just wanted to write that high. I think with Bullimore, he's not an urgent sell. Just because he's not playing, he's not going to lose any cash. If you have no other issues and you want to get rid of him out of your team and start strengthening up your side, go for it. Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it all. I mean, the fact that he's not playing means he's not a rush. You don't need to sell him yet. You can wait. But, I mean, if you're doing it to free up cash and going down, or if you're turning him into someone better, then, I think a lot of people, a popular trade this week for me will be, a lot of people will be going Billy Smith or someone to Koala, and then they'll be upping that second rower like a Nanai or a Bullimore or a Katoa or someone in that position that they can turn into another gun.
Yeah, I think Brod. I think everyone will agree with that one, Brod.
Yeah, I mean I sold Bullimore a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, definitely a sell. And like Glenn said, Bullimore is my Katoa this week, so that's exactly what I've done. So it's probably what people are doing, getting rid of that winger and second row or front row. So
I can give you one reason not to sell. If you have him in the front row, this week we've lost Haas, which means Haas is going to the bench. So if you have someone like a Lolo in your second row, that enables you to play Josh King in one position, use Bullimore down to second row, bring Lolo up in your front row, and then you can play Lolo and Josh King in your front row, or, someone else that you may have that's a dual, possibly like a Narrow or a Savita Pango Jr. So just bear that in mind. If you haven't looked at that option, that enables you to do that little moving around.
Yeah, that's it. The next most trade out, the fourth on this list here, I don't even like this player, but I still don't think he's a sell. And that's Xavier Coates. I don't think he's a sell this week. I think he's got a low break even. I still don't like him. I'm not going to sit here and say how much I like this guy as a player. I think he has that nice ceiling and very, very low base, but I still don't think he's a sell at this point. I think he's at least one more week hold. His break even's only 38, but 3,000 people trading him out. So only way I can see people trying to sell him is to try and get onto a pod or a gun instead of wing like Campbell Graham. Your thoughts on that one, Glenn?
What was his break even, mate? I didn't.
38. So there's a chance with the way he plays that he might miss that break even, but there's a bloody big enough chance that he will get that break even as well. So and if he doesn't get the break even, he's not going to go down that much.
Yeah, so they're playing the Sharks this week. I wouldn't be playing him, at least if I owned him. I personally would sell him. I wouldn't have owned him in the first place. That's probably how I would come across at that. But I think that if you already own him, depending on what you're doing, if you're turning him into someone better, I just wouldn't go from him to Koala if that's what people, I probably wouldn't do that. I mean, the job security on Koala is still not very certain.
Yeah, that's right. But like I said before, I never liked this guy as a player, but I wouldn't be trading him. I definitely wouldn't be trading him down. I think up is the only way to go with him. So something like a Nanai to Cooler, and then you can go him to anyone you want in the center wing. That'll be free because he's a good price. Brod, I know we discussed Coates at the start of this pod. Your thoughts, mate? Would you sell him?
yeah, I'd just like to make a call out to Timio. Told you so. Look at him. Like, even as a Broncos fan, he just hurt you. Like, the guy is so talented.
Yeah.
And Melbourne keep bringing all these dud players in and making them champions, and then they take this guy who, let's be honest, had a pretty good season in a disgraceful Broncos team. Played Origin, looked good. He just doesn't offer anything except for taking that last catch. Doesn't put himself in the game. All this feedback on, Fifi not getting involved, but Coates does nothing. So
He's a great
sell.
He's just not a super coach player.
Yeah, that's it. Like and when he might get a lot of tries, but those tries are usually from kicks, and there's literally just 17 points. It's not going to be a line break or anything. A lot of those tries he needs to get like 4 tries to get a ton. So, but in saying that, I still wouldn't sell him this week. I'd wait a week.
Yeah,
he's the Fox 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Fox now is just nothing.
Fox is still doing better than him.
Yeah, that's right.
That's sad.
Yeah. And last on the list, guys, with 3,000 trade outs this week, and this one is a no-brainer, and that's Dom Young. He's out injured. So 389K. This is one that I could potentially see downgrading to cooler if need be. And yeah, like I said, even if he was playing, I'd suggest you traded him out because his break even was 78 as well. So, Glenn, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, nothing else to say. The guy's
Yeah.
injured. Trade him to Kyle. It's a perfect one. Just on Kyle, guys. There is some mail that I don't believe that he'd be named and not play by Des, but there are talks around in different chats that he might move out. So just keep an eye on that. So if you're buying Koala and you're putting him in your 4, and that's only 4 you've got for centre wing, just be cautious and make sure you keep an eye on if you have a scenario to cover that if that goes pear-shaped.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm going through right now. I've got the 4 centre wings, and that includes Koala after my trade. But I haven't made my boost yet, and my boost would involve selling Billy Smith, and I have about another 20K there. So there's a couple of options out there. For example, Sawali could jump into the team as well. Or even if he doesn't jump in, Kevin Naguama there, who I can trust as a decent scorer for the week.
Yeah.
Or as I mentioned earlier, I can go for a bit of safety in base and bring Ewan Aitken down and bring in Brodie Jones, which I probably don't want to do, but yeah, it's definitely some safety there. He has about 45 points. I'll get safely. So, Brod, I don't think there's anything to add really about Dom Young. Definitely a sell.
No, it's definitely sell.
Yeah.
Let's get on the next one.
That's pretty much. I just doing top 5 and bottom 5 for trade-ins. We're going to start talking about different strategies, guys, moving forward. So if you're like me and you're sitting just inside the top 50K, we're going to try and talk about some different strategies here that could help you get up those ranks a bit faster. I'll start with the first one, and this is what I'm doing this week, is targeting a high ceiling pod with a good draw coming up. So my high ceiling pod that I'm going to get this week is owned by 3.6% of coaches, and that's Campbell Graham. Especially the way the Rabbitohs have been playing lately. They haven't been getting much action on that left side as much as I thought. It's just not firing for them. So it tends to get flung straight back to the right-hand side, and Campbell Graham is reaping the benefits. And the other one as well is Matangi as well. I don't think he's as safe. I think he's a bit hit and miss as well with some games. That's why I'm sticking strong to Campbell Graham. Any other strategies there, Glenn, that you might think of besides that you could, if you're too low on the ranks?
Well, most coaches usually in the first 6 rounds are fattening up on the bench, trying to make money. It's about now, and I know most players, including myself, now will be trading 1 down, 1 up. And that's pretty much the process from here on in. So trade down the 1 to making money, trade up the 1 to a gun. You should be using 2 cows to do that. So 1 cow should be going up and 1 cow should be coming down, if that makes sense. Look, I'd look at the draws: Roosters, Panthers, Eels, and of course the Bunnies all have good draws. So I'd be looking at players, like the Murrays and the. I don't mind Matangi actually. I think that his floor's a little low. It's 40 to 40, between 40 and 50. So yeah, he does got a low floor. They've got a great. The 2 upsides to him is he's going to make you money, and he also is on that right edge of a Bunny side that's got a beautiful draw. Yeah, I'd be just looking at draw dependent now and trying to find and look, the only other thing I'll say is you're not going to get ahead by buying who other people have bought. So try and get that next thing, the next one. And I think Campbell Graham is a very good example for that. He's nicely priced. He's got a nice draw. It's in the centre wing position where you should start to be building now. And I think Campbell Graham is a perfect buy.
Any other thoughts there, Brod, of other options you can look at to try to catch the crowd? You're on mute there, Brod.
Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
I'm
mate.
probably going to go outside the box to get some captain choices because I'm probably not in the position yet to actually to get those players. I do love pods, but at the moment I'm probably playing a little bit of a catch-up game. So it's probably the captain points for me. I'll I'll have a look. I've got a couple of sneaky ones that I'm looking at this week. But on Thursday tomorrow, I'll have a look at what those percentages are and the vice captains, and then I'll have a play from there.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I'm looking at as well, there's another strategy that I think is extremely important, is you need to take advantage of every option you could possibly have. And by this, I mean, you need to look at the vice captaincy option potentially to try and get that really pod double play there. So for example, I'll give the guys a shout out here, the NRLstats.com. I'm on this page right now, and it has a little page here where it says best positions, it's positions versus teams by rank. So I'm looking at it right now, and this is a stat that might surprise a lot of people here, but the number one team equal with the Broncos for letting in points for hookers is Parramatta Eels.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is it's an unusual, you wouldn't think so by not knowing, but this is a great little tool that I use. And right next to that little table, they've also got a PPM as well, stat. So it tells you the PPM that the hookers are getting put into against certain teams. So, like for example, Parramatta are leaking also the most points to fullbacks. So it's extremely. I know it's only a 5-game sample at the moment, but as the year goes on, look at this and say, all right, who am I looking at? Looking at Teddy right now, and Teddy's up against the Warriors. Warriors are the 5th worst for letting in points to fullbacks. Looking at the stat table right now, so definitely a good option there. So if you can look at matchups and look at these pod plays that might be outside the box, utilize the VC and get the captain right. This is something that really will help you jump ahead, Glenn.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is most sides when we set up, or I've sort of been playing for a while, we'll generally go 2 gun fullbacks. Then we'll generally go a gun halfback, a gun 5'8", and 2 cheapies, and then usually a gun hooker and a cheapie, and then second row for me, I usually try and get a couple of strikes, probably 2, even 3 if I can, that are good in that position. But what I would suggest to people is one way you could catch up is that you could either play 5, even 6 centre wings on the right bases, or you could even start filling in so have 4 gun halves like a Cleary, a Hines, a Munster, and a Brown. Or for me, I've got Cook. So one of the options I can go this week is by going Grant and running 2 gun hookers. So I'll have 2 gun fullbacks, 2 gun hookers, and then start working my way down. So yeah, if you're thinking to yourself, look at your side and think, where can I add some strike to my side?
Yeah, and I do agree with that as well. One thing I will say as well is not just you're trying to think of it like a bucket of water. You got to you're trying to stop the leak. So you got to try and get these players like Grant, who are the ones that are actually.
Yeah.
I know that it's kind of the opposite of what we just said. We don't want to match the players ahead of us, but we also don't want to. We got to stop that bleed as well, stop that leak. So you got to catch those guys there and then get a couple of really good pods to try to catch up in that direction.
Well, for me, can I just say something on that? So for me, Grant, everybody's got Grant. Nobody's got Cook. And luckily for me, Cook's been somewhat matching it to Grant, or, for points per dollar, definitely be matching him, based on the point price being cheaper. So if I bring in Grant, I'm matching them, and then I've still got my pod. Do you know what I mean? And I just hope that people don't jump onto a cookie, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a play for me this week. It's either going Grant. I haven't decided yet. It's either Grant, Murray, IPAP, or Campbell Graham, or Moses or Munster.
Stop naming 5'8" as well, mate. You might have much luck with them this year. All right, so I hope that really helped a lot of the guys. I know it opened my eyes a little bit because I need to catch up as well. So I'm hoping that really helped everyone who's lagging behind there. Don't let yourselves get caught down. Like I was pretty down last week, as you could probably tell by my mood, and I literally just took a step back and took a deep breath and focused on what I need to do. Just do that, guys. I still reckon I can make top 1,000. Even though I'm 46,000 right now, I know I can still do it. And yeah, trust your gut. My gut was on fire this week. It's been pretty bad for the last month, but I was pretty happy with my gut. Trust your gut, guys. Yeah. All right, we'll start with Glenn here. What are the strategies? I know there's a couple of guys out there, and take top 10K, for example. You want to try and maintain that position, but also try and move up. And you're pretty experienced being in this position there, Glenn. What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, well, I've been in that position a lot of the time, and that's where I start to fill in the gaps. Like I said, what I just mentioned a minute ago, it's the same kind of thing, but I mean, try and get that next one. You know what I mean? Where in this case, if you're already up there, don't try and get the ones that everyone's now jumping on. If you're up there already, you know, like the Murrays or the Grants or the Cooks or the whoever they are. I mean, yeah, I follow the draw. I just try and fill in them key positions first. That would be my goal to you. And I would start in the halves and the full. I mean, you should already have 2 gun fullbacks if you don't fix it now, because that's your problem if you're not doing well. And yeah, and then look at either 2 hookers. But usually I would suggest 2 halves or 2 5/8, depending on, you know, so Munster, Brown, Hines, Cleary. If you look, Cleary could be a good one for people to get back on, just not yet. Not yet. Just wait a week, maybe 2 more, and then jump on.
Yeah, that's one of my thoughts, because I'm not up there this year, but I have been up there. And the best thing that I thought was, while I'm up here, I'm not going to fall back too far if I just take a step back and now get my team right. You know what I mean? So you have that leeway, so you can sit there and you can focus on, all right, I'm in the right position right now. What can I do to get ahead of the game? So, like, for example, last year was, I'm in the right position, I might grab IPAP, and how good that turned out for everyone. You know what I mean? So you're trying to get that right player that might even get him around early just to get ahead of that game, and then everyone's trying to get this guy in, and you've already got him. So
if you're ahead, you should already have. So what usually happens when you're up ahead, and what I found for me is that I already own the players that everyone's buying. Quite often I'll look at the top 10 players and I'll say, I own 8 of those 10. And then the second thing I'll look at the players coming in, and I own 4 of those 6. You know what I mean? So I'm moving on to the next player while they're all buying the one that's just done well for me. And so if you can get yourself in a position where you're buying the next one, you're always ahead of the game.
And an example that I was thinking of with one player that I'm keeping an eye on personally is Angus Crichton. I think after last week, as soon as he came on the field, the Roosters looked way better. And he's dropping down to a nice juicy price right now. So I think maybe not as soon as he gets named, but I might try and take a punt on him when he's when he starts getting named, and get on him a bit earlier, because we all know what he can do. I don't think it's a risk at all. I think we all know what he can do when he's on fire, and I think he's shown that in the last couple of weeks in that very short minutes that he's been getting. So I'm keeping a close eye on him, and I might jump on him potentially sooner rather than later if he gets named. Especially after I know there was a concussion last week with Nat Butcher, so I'm not sure. There's a big turnaround between games, so we should still be fine to play, but just keep an eye on that. Broad, any strategies that you've? I know you haven't been up top very often, but any strategies you might think of, mate, that we've left out?
Won't be up top very often, but I win enough Herbie Cups, mate. So we'll keep that on the side.
What they can offer too is from a head-to-head perspective.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I told you all at the start of this year that I go too many pods. I've got to go more with the pack. Look what happened. Absolutely worst start of my entire SuperCoach career. My players were scoring crap. I should have just stuck with my guns and done what I normally do. I'll probably do that next year, and it'll probably work out the complete opposite. So, look, we'll live and learn. But yeah, I'll start getting onto some players that I think will be good, and we'll see what happens. So,
yeah, I think from a head-to-head perspective, I think you got to start looking at obviously not your overall rank. You're looking at where you're on the ladder. And on the ladder, for example, there's a couple of mine where I'm on the bottom there, and I've got to focus on getting those pods every week to try to combat what my opponent's doing. So, for example, this week I was lucky enough to have my opponent have Munster and Fafita. I was planning on trading both those guys out this week, like I mentioned earlier, and I didn't, just to match my head-to-head, and it saved me. So, yeah, it's just something to look at. Always look at your opponent's head-to-head. Especially, I know that we've all got cashies that we're in or something like that, but my biggest fear is coming last in the Herbert Cup. There's no cash involved in that. It's just all pride. And yeah, so every single year, all I do, I pin that league on top of it, and I just look at the head-to-head every single week on that. and that's all I want to do. So the other tips I will give there as well is if you're versing a head-to-head and you've got, say, I know you've had 10 players play, your projection's looking pretty good, you're looking like you're going to beat them. My suggestion is if you need to have any trades you want to use, match their players. Match the players they have so they have less pods against you and you're pretty much secure to win. And Brod himself is actually really good at this. He'll sit there and watch what they're doing. So head-to-head is a much more eyes up footy pretty much. You got to sit there looking at your you got everything in front of you. You got the head-to-head opponent next to you, so just eyes up footy. Trade as you go. Like my mind changed about 20 times last week, purely based on my head-to-head. So, any other thoughts there, Glenn, that you could look at if you're up top there, mate?
No, well, like I said, I'm strictly an overall player. I don't play head-to-head. If I played the head-to-head, my strategy would be completely different. I would know exactly what my opponent's doing. My best strategy probably is I don't care what anyone else is doing. I do what I'm doing, and because it's purely based on overall. If I was a head-to-head player, I wouldn't even be worrying about buy rounds. I'd even be willing to forgo them. Based, it might make sense to you, but I think that you could really do well on the in-betweens by having all them guns and not, focusing so much on the two main ones, you know what I mean? And you can save a lot of trades there because trades would be very handy. But in overalls, a lot of us will burn through them quickly at the start, overall players, because it's the way we play to build quick. We're trying to get up there quickly. And that's what I do. I build in a way that I get up the top quick and then I try to mess around from there.
Cool. All right, guys. Hope that was helpful. The other things I've got a couple of notes here I've written down about strategies to stay on top is don't try to avoid any scary antipods. I think that's a big one. Try to in a similar kind of concept, try to match the overall ownership. So you don't want to be getting too many, you don't want to be missing out on too many guns there. And minimal pods. I say minimal because you still want to get those pods, and even though we might be in the top, say 1,000, you still want to come first. So you still want to get those minimal pods, but you get those. Be smart about it.
And I just say one more thing. Sorry, it's a really important part of the strategy that we haven't spoken about, and that's revenue. So I try and build my side to 13.5 million. That's my objective as the amount that I want to get to. I always look at it. I write out a side and I look at it and think, how much is it going to cost me to get to that side? And then I stop building cash once I get to that objective amount. You know what I mean? And so just remember when you're upping players and you're downing players, make sure you don't just down to enough and up to a gun and leave yourself in a position where you're no longer churning. So make sure that down player is still making money. Your bench has always got to be making money. That's its prime objective, is to make money so you can invest that money and fill the gap so that you get more and more guns.
True. All right, guys. Let's talk about our trades this week. I'll start. So this week I am going Nanai to Cooler, and I'm going Jermaine Tunua-Brown to Campbell Graham. So that'll actually allow me to bring Tom Alolo to the front row. You and Aiken back up the second row, and then I'll bring Campbell Graham in there. So that's my my trades this week. I'm a bit concerned about Cooler starting, and like I mentioned earlier, I have 3 non-playing reserves on the bench there. So if Cooler is for whatever reason named out, I still need to have him in my team to build that cash to get to Campbell Graham. However, I can use the boost if I need to bring that last player in and have that. I'll be bringing someone probably safe, and it sounds bad, but it'll be more than likely Brodie Jones. Your trades there, Glenn?
Okay, so I've nailed it down to 2. I'm selling Walker to TAFE. That's a given. I'm definitely doing that. The second trade for me is I'm either going Randall to Grant, and I really didn't want to do that trade this week. I was hoping that Randall would play with that negative break even, make me a bit of coin, and then do it next week. But I just think that's possibly where I'll go. The other option is that I'll go Katoa to Isaiah Papali. So it's one of those 2 as my second, Papali or Grant.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Brod, mate, what trades are you looking at? You're on mute, mate.
So going Katoa and Gildart.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to bring in Koala and Arrow
Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Arrow's probably not the one that I probably need at the moment. Probably need that pod, but I think with the next couple of weeks, I need to do it so I don't lose any more ground.
Yeah.
I am looking to use the boost on maybe a Moan / Lindsay Collins, and that's where I might go a pod if I do bring in, if I do use the boost. But that one's a very new idea, probably just while we've been chatting. So I'll go and have a play around with that one.
Cool.
And we'll
Sounds
see what
good.
happens.
Sounds good. All right. Finally, let's talk about our captain and vice captain choices. I'm going to go a little bit different this week. I'm going to look at you guys are going to laugh at me. I'm looking at vice captaining Starling against the Cowboys in the first game. We all know he has a ceiling when he wants to, and I think with Savage on the bench there, and Frawley not being named, I'm liking the idea he might get more minutes, and I think that the defense through the middle from the Cowboys isn't ideal, and I've seen Starling take good advantage of that in the past against the Knights a couple of years back when he got 170. And then at the moment, I'm looking at VCing Teddy, captaining Teddy. So if I don't do Starling, I might chicken out. I might look at someone like Campbell Graham and double down on my trade. Glenn?
I like the Campbell Graham one better, buddy. All right, so my VC is out of 2, possibly 3 players. At the moment, it's Cook. I'm VCing Cook, but I have considered May or Targo as a VC option. And then my C option is either going to be, if I buy IPAP, it's going to be IPAP or Tedesco. But I think I'm leaning towards Tedesco. So it'd probably be Cook Tedesco.
Cool. And Brod?
Fifi, mate. Fifi is my VC at the moment. I think he could have a cracker of a game. And then my captain will be Teddy or Grant.
I like the Grant
so
one.
I like Grant's out base. And he's, to be honest, he's probably that safer captain option this week. Where we could all, use to bank on us. I think Grant's that guy. Or I'd love to VC a Panthers, because I can pretty much say they're going to put 40 or 50 points on the Bronx this week. So,
yeah. Well, I'm hoping so, because on the next note, where a couple of us are heading down to the Panthers game. So me, Brod, and a couple other guys are traveling up from Canberra to go watch the Panthers versus the Broncos this Friday night, Good Friday. So feel free, guys, to if you come see us on the hill, come have a beer with us. Open to anyone. And if the Panthers lose, you'll probably see some very drunk, fat, bearded guy doing a streak and getting tackled by security. So no names mentioned.
You'll see one poor guy leaving.
All right, guys. Is anything else to add, guys, while we're here?
Yeah, I think we just could do bold predictions. Because, I mean, one of my predictions I want to say because of what Brody just said. So this is going to be an odd one. I'm going to say that Grant, 55 or under versus the Sharks. I'm going to say Cook, 85 plus. I'm going to go Teddy, 120 plus. This is the round he bounces back.
All right. Well, I'm going to be on the spot here because I didn't even think of any, but I'm going to say one right now. And I'm going to double down on my VC option. And I'm going to say Starling to get his first ton against the Cowboys. Trying to think. Other ones there. I think, put him on the spot here. I'm going to say this is not really a bold prediction, but I will say that Cleary will come back, and this week he will get 120 plus. And I like to say, I know I said it earlier, and I'll probably double down again and say Teddy will get 150 this week. That's a big one. Rod?
All right, here we go. I'll go against Glenn. Grant will go 100. I reckon Fifi is on for another 80-plus game. And one of my players to get injured for 8 weeks or more.
We've had our share,
Not
brother.
really bold. It's pretty safe bet, but
paying $1 sports bet.
I actually like the Fito one this week. I actually think it's a good matchup. myself. So I just wanted to say that I think he's got a nice matchup, but I don't really rate Manly this year in their defence.
No, yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, I just with how they've been playing, they've got new centres, wingers, fullback, the lot.
Yeah.
And we saw what he could do with one run.
Yeah.
If someone passes him the ball 3 times, he could destroy Manly by himself. So
yeah, I'm still not sold on him how he played this weekend. I don't know what it is. I know he did good and he does magic things and everything, but I'm still not sold. But I've kept him because I just want to be sold. So I just want to see the Fifi of old, and I know we got glimpses of it last week, he's on that note, he got a nice little boost up there in the upgrades to 107. But yeah, I'm still not sold. The way he played is still waiting for the ball, but I'm hoping that the Titans have learned just getting the ball early, let him, and maybe he's learned to get a bit deeper in the line rather than be right up in the line. So I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping it goes better again this week, and all those guys that jumped off are going to regret it.
I think that the Broncos definitely looked like they were more interested in getting Stags more ball. I don't know if Fifita so much was getting the possession we would like as an owner, but Stags definitely did. I saw enough from Stags to say that if he does it again, I bring him back. And I don't usually like selling and bringing back, but I think Stags I will. I really did like what I saw from Stags last week.
True. All right, guys. I think that wraps everything up tonight. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Make sure you hit us a like on YouTube or listen to us if you don't want to see our face on Spotify. Talk to you again next week. Peace out.
See you later, guys.
Enjoy, brothers.
I want to win. I want that trophy. I want that trophy. I want that trophy.